I've closed a deal on one call.
I'm trying to learn from the best.
Everybody's looking to take your money.
What are the 3 red flags when you are looking at the deal?
You got to have a number in mind, right?
What is the most effective marketing challenge?
When was the last time you listened to a radio station?
It was a strategic move or burnout?
Anything that I touch was going to win. I'm proud that I'm going to make that guy more money than he ever will need in his life.
The next generation of millionaires is going to be the electricians and plumbers and HVAC guys. Do you think is that true?
The 25 million in less than 24 months. I can be the big player overnight. I can dominate the market. They don't spend as much money on marketing. I will fuck everybody up.
Hello, everyone. In today's episode of Founder to Founder, I have CEO and founder of Gross Rocket holding company. We're going to be talking a lot about how it's a self-built, self-made. We're going to be talking about how he started from getting paid as a mechanic $6 an hour and actually build the empire of home service acquisitions, home service company. And he's actively acquiring a lot of home service companies in nationwide. And we're going to be learning his wisdom, his experience, how he have done it. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of valuable. Victor, thanks for joining. You started as a mechanic and working for $6.75. And when did you realize now, instead of working for somebody else, you want to start your own business?
You know, honestly, I never thought I could. Back in that, it was like 12 years ago, I was doing oil changes for $6 an hour. And, I never in a million years would imagine I'm doing what I do now. Really, I had no plan of starting a business. I never did. I was going to be a sales guy. I was making more money than I knew what to do with then. And, one day my boss pissed me off and I was like, well, fuck it. If this guy can figure it out, why can't I? So, I had an entrepreneurial seizure back in 2018 in August. And, from there, just had to learn everything on the way through it. But, they say sometimes you got to build the plane while you're flying.
What was the hardest part in the beginning? Like it was experience or lack of money or confidence?
I would say I never lacked confidence. I figured I can build it. It was really a lack of experience. Shoot, I didn't even know how to set up an LLC. I didn't know what an S-Corp was or, any of this kind of stuff. And so I had to learn it on the fly. And then obviously capital is always a big thing. I was a sales guy. I made a lot of money, but I spent it faster than I made it. So, I had the Mercedes, I had the house, I had all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I went from making a lot of money to making nothing. So that was definitely a humbling experience. So having to take a step back to go forward, I guess.
When did you realize you're not a technician anymore, you are a business owner?
Right away, to be honest. I knew right away that I couldn't be everything. Most people, when they start out, they're by themselves. They don't hire employees. I hired people right away, which was a gamble, right? Because I had to go figure out how to feed these people and take care of them. But I think that was the best way to go about it. I knew day one I couldn't be in the truck. I couldn't be the sales guy. I couldn't do that. I still had to do it for a couple of years, but along the way, like I said, I was like, hey, I don't do this anymore. I'm an operator. So it was pretty quickly I had to realize it.
Cool. If you would start it over again with one van, one thing, what would you do differently? Which was
I would set up my life for that situation, right? Like I wouldn't start with a situation where I had all that overhead. I would start, live simple, do the little things, invest. I invested a lot of money back in the business, but like I said, I like nice things. I like to party. I like to do shit, bottle service and all that fun stuff. So I would go back and, kind of be like I am now, live more minimal and then, just invest it all back in the business or into any kind of investments, honestly.
Instead of spending it all out, you would basically invest it back in the business and grow the valuation or grow the bigger company, right?
Yeah, obviously making sure you get the right hires. I would set up the systems and processes, really have a game plan. So I had no business plan, no budgets, none of that stuff in place. It was just I was really good at sales. I figured out how to sell. I knew how to get customers. Actually, the funny part is I got a lot of the customers because I partied so much that I just met so many people through the years that I was able to start pretty easy. But yeah, I would definitely put the system and process in before I launched the business.
And when you are establishing that company, you would do, some people do DBA, some LLC, some corporations. I think DBA is too risky, right? You are not limiting yourself, you're not protecting yourself.
Yeah, obviously we set up as an S-Corp right away. So obviously, if I'm doing a home service business, that's how I would set it up. Some guys are, limited LLCs, sole proprietors, things like that. And you really have to protect your assets, right? I've learned that now through having to go through, lawsuits and things like that and what's protected, what's not protected. When your lawyer says, hey, this is what's going to happen or they're going to do this. And I'm like, well, fuck, I wish I would have thought about it then. So now definitely, there's so many layers of protection between me and my assets that no one can really touch me.
Yeah. When I was starting my business as well, first thing was, I think, DBA under my social security. Later on, I figured out that I had to protect myself, my family. And then I actually put up corporation, I believe, then multi-level structure and holding, and actually eventually the trust, I believe. You can protect your assets, right?
Yeah, you got to protect yourself, and you don't think there's a problem until it happens, right? You don't think it's going to happen to me,
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I became such a big target. You got freaking 50, 60 trucks driving around. You got advertising everywhere. You're on the radio. Everybody's looking to take your money, especially here in California.
Your first acquisition, it was a preferred heating, right, in 2020. What went wrong, or what did you learn from it, like your acquisition story?
So probably the worst deal I've ever done in my life. It hampered my business growth. So, we had just came off our very first year in business. We did a little over from about $5.1 million from scratch, so we grew pretty fast. Going into year two, which was 2019 or 2020, COVID happened. COVID hit. Didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It's still a new business. We didn't have a big slush fund of cash. Like we invested all that $5 million really back into the business. So we just did a rebrand. We did all these things. COVID happened. We ended up taking off. The beautiful part about COVID in California is normally it takes you 2 hours to get to LA. We were able to run calls and get to LA in 25 minutes, so we could run more calls a day. So our revenue jumped up, from $5 million to $12.5 million by the end of December. October of that year of 2020, as the SBA was giving out loans for you didn't have to put any money down. You can go get these loans, and a lot of the business valuations were really skewed. But I believed that anything that I touched was going to win. And I went to go look at this business. It was valued at an 8x multiple when it should have been at a
8x
on a $350,000. So it ended up being like I think I paid like $3.2 million after that. After everything was said and done, when the business really was worth about $1 million, but my ego said I got to make this acquisition. It was one of those things like, hey, look what I can do, right? And I still remember driving out there the day I'm about to sign the documents and buy the business. And it was a 2-hour drive away, from where I was at. So like I would have to be out there, which was a dumb idea anyways. I already had my business over here is doing great. Let's go do this thing 2 hours away. Bad decision. Gut said turn around, didn't turn around. Ego said let's just get it done. We'll make it happen. We can make anything work. Number one thing on a deal is the win is made on the upfront deal. Like, you got to figure out how to make the best possible deal up front. Took a bad deal. Everybody kind of gave me shit. They're like, you paid $3 million for that fucking business? And I'm like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? So went through, 2 hours away. I'm driving out there, trying to recruit, trying to do all these things and replicate what I did in my market there was not very easy. I had a $34,000 a month SBA loan that I was paying on this thing. And, obviously that could have been good. That $34,000 a month could have went into marketing my other business and scaled it. Instead, I have this fire 2 hours away. All the employees left because I didn't have any plan in place. I never did an acquisition before. So employees left, hours away, paying $34,000 a month. It got to a point where that business was losing about $60,000 almost a month, $70,000 a month. Mentor came to me. He said, hey, you got this thing. What is this? He's looking at him like, I'm like, oh, it's an acquisition. He's like, it's losing you $70,000 a month. I'm like, oh, well, this and that. He's like, dude, take that motherfucker out back and shoot it in the head. So I shut the business down after about 9 months.
Wow.
And I still have to pay the note. And by the way, it's not legal for you to shut down an SBA funded business without paying off the loan. So SBA came after me. I did all, caused me all kinds of headaches, and I was able to get out of the mess and all that stuff. But it taught me right away, like, you got to negotiate. Like the deals have to be how they get negotiated. So now, like the structure that we do things is completely different. But I paid $3 million for education, and it is what it is.
$3 million for education. That's expensive education.
Yeah, and I tell a lot of guys, I had one of my good friends. He's looking at doing this acquisition. He's got this great business here in Southern California, and they're doing good over here, and I think they're towards like Canyon Lake. And he's talking about buying this business over here, and he's overpaying for it. I already told him, he's like, well, we're paying it over 7 years. I'm like, you're still paying $1.2 million for a business worth maybe $250,000. I said, I don't care if you paid over 7 years or how many years. Like, obviously, in our ads, we can turn. I mean, he can make money on the business, but I'm like, well, now you have this business that's doing good, it's growing, and now you're going to go take half of your focus and put it over here. And I wish that people would have told me to just stay narrow, right, and focus on your one thing.
So at that time, you said in 2020, when you bought that company, your company was doing what? You said about
$12.5 million.
$12.5 million, and you bought this company for $3 million, and which you shut it down. Got it.
Yeah, it was
lesson.
That was a lesson learned, between the rent and the trucks and all the truck payments, insurance, all that shit. It was at the point where it was just eating our cash flow alive, right? And the number one rule of business is don't run out of cash. So we had to cut that out.
Now you run Rocket Holding and you buy companies across the country. And how do you make a decision? How do you choose what kind of company to buy?
So I found that with my skill set, I buy struggling companies. So I don't buy somebody that's, wants a big check for 40, 50 million bucks or whatever it is. I find a company that's about, anywhere between 2 to 5 million. They have decent amount of employees. They've been around for a little while. And I look at the leader. So instead of buying 100% of the business, I buy a percentage of the business, bring the leader on, give them
What percentage?
It depends, anywhere between 50 to 70, and then I allow them to stay on and get a second bite of it.
Yeah.
So I have, they become the operators, things like that, and it's allowed us to scale faster without putting out as much cash. I would rather put the cash into marketing, growing the business, and most of these owners would never make the money that they make. Like, the business I got in Arizona last year, the business was worth $400,000 when I came into the business. This is in May of last year. We just turned down $17 million 2 weeks ago. And so in the 16, 17 month period, we took a business worth $400,000, turned it to 17 million, and my out of pocket was zero.
Another question is, what are the 3 red flags when you are looking at the deal and it's going to make you walk away from the deal?
Debt equals death, right? How much debt do they have on the business, right? What kind of cash flow do they currently have? Obviously, we want to look at the cash flow and debt stack. And then from there, it's the leader, who's in place. I don't want a guy that's been doing it for 30 years and thinks he knows it all. I would rather have a guy that's in his 30s, 40 years old, hungry, wants to win, just doesn't know how to do it. And I can take that company and blow it up overnight.
What does a perfect acquisition target looks like for you? Like the numbers, the leaders, the people, culture?
I would say market matters, right? Where you are. A lot of private equity is actually looking in big cities. I'm looking at like the A cities are like, say, a Phoenix, a Denver, or LA, right? I'm looking at the smaller outside cities where I can be the big player overnight. I can dominate the market. They don't spend as much money on marketing, things like that. So like, the Arizona one, we're in northern Arizona. We're not in Phoenix. 120,000 people, but we have a $15 million plus business overnight because we have nobody to compete with. So I'm trying to go find markets, like that, Auburn, Alabama, things like that, where we go in there right away. We put our stuff in place. There's no one else doing it. We could just dominate the market quickly.
And once you close 3 deals in 10 days, like how do you structure your team, like for the acquisition to after buying the company, like it's your CFO, CEO, or like legal integrations, like how do you structure it?
So we try to keep it simple, but we have obviously we have a whole integration process. We have a first week, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, what we need to get implemented. So I have my COO, he kind of flies around. I got 3 kids. I try not to travel as much. He flies into the business day one. We sign the deal. He's there next day. And from there, we're starting to integrate with the team, figure out who we have, what we don't have. Obviously, get the team excited about it. And then obviously we have the finance side, sales training. And so we just start bringing in all the different parts. So in the Rocket Group, we have people that have already built and exited companies that are partnered with me doing the same thing. And so, when we come in, we know exactly what to do, what to integrate. And then our goal over the first 6 months is that every business operates exactly the same, from marketing, finance, our CRM, everything. So, when we go, we already know what levers to pull and how to win it.
I'm also building M&A platform in home services, but in more appliance repair, handyman, home cleaning, like more of a services industries nationwide. And for that, I'm trying to learn what is your biggest bottleneck when you are doing the M&A. It's capital, it's the people, or integration speed.
I think the biggest thing, right, is bandwidth, right? Having enough people on your team that can handle it and onboard. That's going to be the biggest thing to scale. So that's why you want to make sure you have the right partners that aren't going to freaking take extra time or move you down, like slow you down. So like I get people bring deals to me where it's like, dude, they'll give me half the business, they'll do all these things, but I know he's going to slow down our speed and how long it's going to take us to integrate, and I will turn the deals down. I would say, we probably take 2 out of 100 deals that come to us that are like, all the other deals are good deals. People would look at them like, damn, that's a fucking good deal. But I've been able to identify what's going to slow me down. And, we have a, pretty, I think, moderate goal of 20 locations doing 20 million by the end of next year. So it's 400 million in the next, 12 to 18 months. And we, for us, like we just want to make sure it's the right people because you got to go fast.
When you buy a company, do you normally leave them alone as it is, or you merge cultures? Like how you deal with?
No, we fucking flip that thing upside down. So we bring most of these companies are, they're great technicians or whatever installers, and we're like, no, we're a sales organization. So we come in right away. We're a sales and marketing company that happens to do whatever the fuck we're doing. So we come in. Some people come, some people go. The thing that I have a big social media following. So if I open this business here in Denver, magically I have 50 guys that want to come work for me because they want to make more money. So we go from, being every employee's making hourly, now everybody's on commission. from our technicians, our installers, or even our call center reps have a potential to make commission, and that's just human nature. If you work harder, you make more money. That's where they want to be. So we bring in A players. Like in Houston, I think we've been there for 6 weeks. Business has been around for 60 years. And we're in the slowest time of year. We've already doubled their all-time record in the in the 5 weeks. So this month we'll hit their all-time record after 60 years in business. We replaced the entire staff in 5 weeks.
Well, what is your buy box now? Like, what is the top line? What does the EBITDA looks like, and what is the multiplier? What kind of company are you looking for, and where?
Right now, if I'm looking, it's 3 to 5 million anywhere in the continental U.S. Probably not in Alaska, but I don't really want to go to Alaska. I don't want to go to Hawaii because I don't like mini splits. But anyway, anywhere in the continental U.S. pretty much, as long as like I said, anywhere between 2 to 5 million. Maybe they're making 3-5% net. The big deal, like these private equity guys are going to buy these big businesses that are already really successful. And what happens, they come in, they change everything up. I'd rather buy a small company and grow it because I have that skill set to do it. I've done it over and over and over. We went into Vegas, we went from 1.8 million to 25 million in less than 24 months. Georgia, the same thing, Sacramento. So like everywhere we go now, I take a $2 million business, I turn it to 20. I would much rather have that upside than, I go buy a $50 million business. I got to try to get it to 100 where there's levels of management and all the other stuff you have to add. It just slows you down.
For the listeners, for the owners who can actually do the self-diagnose on themselves, how can the owner can tell if they're ready, if they're truly ready to sell the company, if they're ready to exit?
You got to have a number in mind, right? And, I talk to entrepreneurs and they're like, I want $100 million. I'm like, dude, you ain't getting a $100 million check. You don't understand the amount of level of work and stress you have to get to a $100 million check. It's going to take you 10 to 15 years to build a business that's worth $100 million. Now, if you want a $30 million check in the next 24 to 36 months, I can do that. Getting them to understand the realistic of what's possible, what's out there. And, a lot of these guys, they think their business is worth like million, they're doing 2 million, they think it's worth 5. And I'm like, it's just not the reality. Back in 2020, when the multiples were really high, they were literally private equity would buy anybody that had an HVAC company with a pulse anywhere in the US and they'd overpay for it. They're smart now. They know that they can come in and they can, instead of spending 3 million on that, they can build their own business for $1 million. Why would I go buy that? So I think they're looking for, do you have management in place? How involved are you? So if you're still involved in the day-to-day, you're not ready. Right? Do you have systems and processes in place? Are you the market leader? Or are you one of the top 3 in your market on everywhere on social media to Google everywhere? If not, you're not ready to sell.
What are the 3 signs the business is mature, and what are those 3 signs that the business owner is not ready emotionally to let it go?
I don't think you're ever emotionally ready to let go of a business. And that's one thing that no one talks about. So when I grew my business from 0 to 60 million in 4.5 fucking years, and that was my business. That's all I did every day, 7 days a week. And then all of a sudden you sell the business and you got a big chunk of cash, but you don't know what to do. You lose your purpose. So, if you're going to sell, you got to go figure out something else to do next. Like what's going to get you excited? I ended up sitting on the beach in Newport Beach, fucking drinking, partying, doing stupid shit, flying out to Vegas, blowing cash. I didn't know what to do. And I was miserable. It took me about, probably up until about like 8 months ago to find purpose again. It's been almost 3 years, and it took me a long time to really figure out what the hell am I good at? What do I want to do? And, I finally found it, but I would think you've got to plan for what you're going to do next, because all of a sudden you go from busy every single day of your life to I don't have shit to do, and the money's not that fun.
And how do you value the HVAC companies at the moment, and what is the multipliers are correct?
So if you're under $2 million in EBITDA, so earnings, and if you don't know what EBITDA is, you can go to my social media. There's a post on there that tells you exactly how to calculate your EBITDA. It's really your true earnings of your business. They said under 2 million, you're going to get 3 to 5x at the most. 5 is if you have like a good market, all these things. Now, if you're in a small market in the middle of nowhere, you might get 2 to 3x. So private equity is looking for a $2 million minimum EBITDA is where they think that's a good business. That's something we can scale. It's got systems, processes, and stuff. So if you're below that, I would focus everything I can for the next 18 months to get over 2 million in EBITDA. That's the main thing. So everybody thinks it matters your memberships, your Google. Private equity doesn't give a fuck. They don't care about your memberships. They don't give about your Google reviews. They don't care how good your brand looks. They don't care that you're fucking everybody in town uses you. If your EBITDA, your earnings aren't there, they don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, they're looking at rate of return, and they're not going to get the rate of return off a little business.
Basically, quality of earnings and how they actually do that. It's cash basis accrual, right?
Yeah, like, if you're on cash basis, quit now. Like you have to go on accrual. You can't understand the real true profitability of your business without having accrual based accounting. That's one of the first things. If I have part of the business on cash, we're going to accrual immediately.
What do the sellers most often hide during the due diligence?
fucking everything. So, they think they can hide those things, the things they're running through their business, or, these things they try to do ad backs that aren't real ad backs. Private equity sophisticated. Like my team, when they look at your numbers, they know when shit's bullshit or not. Pretty there was one deal we looked at it. We were 2 days in. My CFO was like, yeah, we're not doing this deal. It was numbers are fluff. There's all kinds of things.
How do you protect yourself from fake numbers and fake growth?
Obviously we do a real quality of earnings. So we go in, we're gonna do a quality of earnings. We're gonna go through your business. We're gonna pretty much strip you down naked, and we're gonna figure out everything about you. Okay.
Got it. And when you acquire the company, what do you do first 90 days? How that acquisition, post acquisition, takes?
So for us, we have a full integration sheet. So we have it, like I said, we broke it down from the first, day one, first week, first month, and so we go with 90 days to, sometimes it could be up to 6 months depending on the size of the business. But we have things we execute all the time, like in a row. Number one thing that I look for in the first thing in business: how do I recruit the best sales guys in the market? Mm-hmm. If I get the sales guys, everything else will fall into place. Obviously we can train them, but in the beginning you have to go get the sharks. I'm really big on giving key employees equity. So, it's hard to get somebody, he's already making $500,000 a year. You want him to come work for you with this new business, this question mark. So I say, hey, you can make $500,000 forever and you'll own nothing, or I can give you equity in this thing. You can still make that much money, but you also have part of the upside. So we tie equity into all kinds of different positions in our business, the key people that are growing. I'll probably, when we sell our Arizona business, there's probably, 7, 8 people that are going to become multimillionaires.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And do you normally increase their salaries for the stuff?
No, I try to run the lowest salary as possible. We're an incentive-based business. I'm going to show them how they can make more money. Everybody wants to, if you're asking me for
you put more incentive structure.
Yeah,
right?
if you ask me for a $300,000 salary, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself. Okay, so hey, I'll give you $100,000, but I'll give you potential to make 5. Yeah. It's just, that's not the people that I want. I want people that are willing to eat what they kill. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking for. Otherwise, salaries is like death in my business. Hire those salaries, because I look at a daily overhead. How much is it going to make for me to make money on that business? And that's just overhead. I don't like overhead.
If another contractor is trying to buy neighboring company, what they're supposed to do within the 90 days after they buy the company?
So neighboring depends. Is it a tuck-in, or is you're going to tuck-in? I mean, the first thing, if you're looking for a good tuck-in, you want to find it, go talk to your distributors. You're going to know who's behind on their bills. Mm-hmm. So I have great relationships, almost every distributor in different markets, and I'll go to them once a month. Hey, you got anybody that's not able to make their payments? That's what I look for, because I want to be, okay, he's struggling, I can cut a check. I had a deal one time. I got the entire business, a $3 million business, got it for $35,000. $35,000. We sold over $35,000 day one. Wow. Right. So, deals like that, those are what we're looking for. I'm looking really for a phone number, a database. Maybe an old timer has been doing it for a long time. His phone rings all the time, but he can't even get to all the work. The first thing is identifying who you're going to keep and who you're going to cut. Immediately you need to consolidate. So a lot of mistakes I see is they keep trying to run 2 call centers, 2 everything right away. Day one, hey, you're either going to work for us or you're not. We'll interview the new staff. We keep them. Otherwise, we'll sign them a check. Here's a couple weeks of pay. See you later. Good luck. Right, so you have to consolidate quickly.
And how they can use SBA or investors to finance the deal? Would you use, you already mentioned, you would not use SBA?
SBA could be good, right? It's just really, if you don't, I'm looking for, if I'm doing a tuck in, things like that, those companies I'm looking at probably going to pay anywhere between $100,000 to $500,000, mm-hmm. Right? If you need, and most of them you can owner finance too, and you can sell the owner on hey, I can give you a check today for $500,000. You're going to pay capital gains on all of that, or I can figure out a way to keep you a steady paycheck for the next couple of years. So we try to do seller finance as much as we can on the small companies. I try not to borrow money as much as I can. So we'll have lines of credit, things like that, but debt to me is death. I don't want any debt on my business. I would rather.
What is the smartest deal structure, a cash seller notes or owner financing you mentioned?
Yeah, the best ones are if you can owner finance it, right? Put a little cash up front, pay them out over time. I found that's a better way, even for the owners, the tax implications and the other things that are different as well. So if you can structure it that way, it's best. If you want to stroke a check, that's fine. I've just been a better negotiator. Most people, they have to pay cash. You have to learn how to negotiate and make the deal sound better.
When should you never use earnouts?
I usually don't do any earnouts, really. If you try to get me an earnout, you can fuck yourself. You're not when I sell a business, I'm selling the whole thing. I'm not going to be involved, mm-hmm. right? So I'm not going to be tied to one business. It's just not possible. But obviously earnouts, you want to try to keep the culture intact as much as you can. Most of the deals that I do, I keep the owner on as an equity stakeholder for the long term until we go flip the next one. Like I talk to him like, hey, you're not going to get much up front, but we're going to go sell this thing for 40 million in 2 years. You're going to get a big ass paycheck. Because most of these guys are really their business is worth less than $1 million anyways. So I'm like, hey, you can have a fucking $1 million piece of like $800,000 piece of shit, or you can have you can go make 10 million, 15 million in 24 months. And I don't even need them to work. I just need them to be the face of it. They just sit back. Like a lot of my partners are out doing whatever they fucking want to do. They're just the face of the thing. Most people don't even know I own the thing. And I just let it grow, and then when they sell it, everybody gets paid.
Post-acquisition, how do you integrate the team without losing the key people?
Well, I mean, it's become easy now because they know when I come in, they make more money.
Not in the first time.
the first acquisition, it was I lost everybody. I didn't know. I came in, I told them what I was going to do, and they weren't ready to change. It was more ran like a mom and pop shop, and all of a sudden I come in, now you got to learn how to sell, and you got to do this, and I'm going to hold you accountable. And they're like, fuck this, I'm out, right? But now with my reputation, people know when I come in, they're going to make more money than they've ever made before. But I think it's just over time you have to learn, you have to get that down. You can show the track record like, hey, look, I had this person that made this much. Now they're making this much. And so I think now we can show the track record. It's easy. That's why the acquisitions for us are easy now. We know we're going to win. Not every deal is going to be a great deal, but your likelihood of success is pretty fucking high if you partner with us.
Now about the family. You work closely with your partner, Michelle. How do you make that dynamic work in the life and business?
We don't really cross too much on the business side. Like, I tell her she's on the finance side mostly, and obviously I'm over dealing. Mostly my job, to be honest, is negotiating new deals and then negotiating our vendor costs. So we try to keep them separate. We try to have respect for that. But when we're at home, it's still work. A lot of people you got to shut off. We both don't shut off. So you got to make sure if you're going to be in a business with a partner, there's an alignment on what the goal is. We realize for the next 5 years, there's probably going to be no shut off. And
your daughter, Abe, how she sees that lifestyle of being always in deals like flights.
It's rough. So I have 3 kids myself. Michelle has 2 kids. So I have a 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and she has a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it definitely was rough. Last year I was on over 100 flights last year. So it was a lot, but now I've really reduced it. So I let my kids know and talk to them about like, hey, look, this is what you have to sacrifice to get where you want. So my kids are very involved. Like I'm trying to show them that, you can't just sit around and wait. You got to go make shit happen. And, sometimes you got to sacrifice shit, but like I'm at every sporting event. I fly back. Like I'm in and out. If I'm flying out there, like if my kids got a sporting event the next day, I'll fly in, get the hell out that night, red eye, or fly out early in the morning. So you got to make priorities of family. But you also your kids need to see that, right? Like, so many kids nowadays are fucking coddled and they need to see how business is ran. Like my kids can read a P&L at 8 years old.
And how do you balance control and trust in business and in the life?
Control and trust. Dude, I think that's one of my superpowers. I trust everybody. I trust them until they fuck me. But, and I've been fucked a lot, but, I found that, if you're stressed about every little detail of every little thing and what micromanaging people, you're never going to grow. I've been able to, obviously you check, you got to check and balance, checks and balances, but I allow people to fail too. And, most people are so scared to allow them to fail that they handicap them. So for me, I say, I'll trust you until you don't give me an opportunity not to trust you. But obviously I'm going to vet the people first and all that stuff. But I think you have to trust your people. Otherwise you'll never grow.
And about the future of HVAC industry, by 2030, the HVAC industry is almost going to double. And who do you think is going to stay? The big giants or small niche players?
It's going to be the people like me who are thinking ahead. Obviously, AI is taking over every aspect of the business. Every meeting that we have is asking, how can we integrate AI more? So like right now, the big competing factor from a small guy to a big guy is they can be less cost, right? Because the big guy has a lot of overhead. He's got office staff. I'm trying to operate a whole business with like 1 or 2 people in the office. So I could be at $60 million and I have the same amount of office staff as you. That means I cut those costs. That means I could match your price and make more and make the profit and bring it to a volume. The little guys are fucked unless they adapt. If they don't change, it's not even a 5-year runway. It's literally a 2-year runway. They have about 2.5, 3 years that like AI has taken over every little aspect of everything. If they don't pivot, they're fucked. And the cost of goods is going up. The cost of doing business keeps going up, and they keep running the same way. And I think that's what's happening with private equity. They're running the same playbook they ran 10 years ago. we're kicking their ass in every market that we go to. We're growing faster. We're doing all this stuff because we're not operating the same way. We have to evolve to the current market and what tools are out there. So if you don't integrate an AI like immediately, I don't give a fuck what industry you're in. You could be the camera guy staring at me right now. AI is coming, and it's coming faster than you think. And the people that I work with and I interact with, they're saying this is bigger than the internet, bigger than TV, bigger than anything you've ever done in your life by 100x. So you got to invest in it. You got to figure it out. And the longer you put it off, the farther behind you're going to get.
Do you think automation and AI will reduce the dependency on human labor in the trades or not?
It's going to be hard to make a robot that can fit in an attic. I think as the new houses get built, they're going to be built around being able to have a robot work on the equipment. I think it's going to be part of how the building specs are made is like, how can we get, that's what I see coming in the next 10 years. Like the houses being built now are going to be built to where you don't need a human to fix shit. Even if you look at some of the AC units, things like that, they self-diagnose, they can tell you what's going on with it. We're already seeing it. And, I think the skilled labor guys think that's not coming, but I watched an AI robot frame out an entire house the other day. From the stud, from the concrete up. So it poured the concrete, it set all the lines for the blueprints itself, it fucking put the walls up. And this is now, and this is 2 years from now, it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, they say the next generation of millionaires is going to be the electricians and plumbers and HVAC guys. Do you think is that true?
It already is. I've seen my friends make hundreds of millions of dollars. You got Tommy Mello who's made, fucking $250 million off of garage doors. I've had a lot of my friends that are in that space, and even some of the mentors. I'll be here tomorrow at the event we're having. It's like they've made $500 million already, and they're still going. And then some of the guys are a little bit older than me. Like I said, I predict our business is $400 million within the next 12 to 18 months. And I think we can get to $1 billion within the next 4 years. So it's like the billion, it's already there. You just have to go take it. Some of these guys are so scared to take the leap or don't think they belong. Dude, I'm 36. I would be a multi-billionaire by the time I'm 50.
Do you think it's possible with technology to build a platform which will consolidate and build a platform like an ecosystem at the same time?
So that's what we're building. So, a lot of people are trying to build $100 million business in one location. Like, dude, fuck that. So, I'm going to build 20. My goal by the end of next year is 20 locations doing 20 million each. Some will do more, some will do a little bit less. And we're able to I'm building what I call a private equity starter kit. Private equity can't build businesses. They don't know how to do all the little things to build a business. I can do that. So I'm building the businesses for private equity to buy them and take them to the next level. So I'm building like a farm system, like with the minor leagues, right? We build these minor league teams, and then they're all going to get called up in the big leagues when private equity buys them. So I can go build a business, a $20 million business. I can build it in 24 months. I can flip that business. We get 20% EBITDA, right? So what's that, $4 million in EBITDA? I can sell that for $40 million every 2 years, and I'm doing that in every market.
Do you believe in Uberization of the industry or not?
The what?
Uberization, like when the technicians will trade.
Nope. I was part of a group called Fixify back in 2020 that tried to do this. The problem is that the guys that they're trying to hire they're not qualified. They're just not organized because people want service. They want things done the right way. And I think, I watched them try to do it. They've tried it in different markets. They've tried it different ways. I got a buddy of mine in Dallas that's trying to roll it out in Dallas right now, and he's got big money behind it. I just don't foresee it happening. Obviously,
it might happen for the small checks, but not big installation.
No, you're not gonna build a big business. And I think because the guys that you're finding doing that are the guys that want to fix every little part, and the fix-it guys don't make cash.
Yeah, and at the same time, you have to compete on the marketing with the big guys who are replacing it, right? So the marketing cost is much more.
You can't compete with if you're a startup, a little guy like that. You're even the app that's trying to compete with the big guy. They can't outspend us. We already have to. We're willing to spend $1,000 a lead. They can't spend that because they're not bringing back $1,000 a lead.
What is your average customer acquisition cost for the client?
$780 by the time I pay for marketing, all my expenses to get a van in the driveway. $780.
$780 you're paying to walk in
to a door.
To the door.
Yeah, that's what it costs. By the time Google's gone insane, everybody's spending money like crazy. Insurance, gas, all that stuff is all adding up, and employee wages are getting higher. So when you come back with a $500 repair on a house, you're already negative $250.
Yeah.
And the consumer can't figure it out. Well, why are they charging so much? I'm like, dude, I lost $1,000 being here. Fuck you, right? So it's really, you have to understand the numbers and really figure that stuff out. But I think that's the hard part is there is a point where consumers won't pay it. And that's why we have to integrate the AI to keep that cost down to the consumer to where they can afford it.
What is the most effective marketing channel and what is the least effective marketing channel?
I guess, there's no bad marketing channel. Obviously the lead aggregators, the Angies, stuff where you're fighting for the same lead from multiple, they're sending the same lead to 6 people at a time and you have to be the first one and trying to race to get it. Like, that's okay when you start out and you gotta be scrappy. For me, it's been direct mail. It's actually kind of crazy because Alex Hormozy, right? He's really big in the social media space. He's sending out mail now. Yeah. Because the social media space, it's more crowded. No one's sending mail, so you want to be where people aren't, right? And
with direct mail, you can create need, right?
You can create need, yeah. So you can actually go out there and create a need or demand and be the only person they do business with. I got a letter from the other day from Alex Hormozy trying to invite me to his book launch or whatever it was, right? And a lot of people have got away from it. They all go digital because it's really easy. Just spend money and leads come in, right? This, mail is a little bit higher cost per customer at the phone call, but the actual lead itself is better. It's better than a Google lead or all that stuff because now they're going, a lot of people are doing AI searches, right? And they go on there and they ask AI how much things are. Like, we're putting on the market before they ever talk to anybody, before they touch AI. They're getting our mail piece. They never went anywhere. We're selling that unit before the other company even has a chance.
Yeah, yesterday my wife was showing also like Anderson Renewal by Anderson. They always send out like huge direct mail. Like, we always get those things like every month probably. And what do you think about like radio, TV, billboards, or SEO, like search engine optimization?
I ask you a question. When was the last time you listened to a radio station?
I don't listen.
Okay, so then it's probably a bad place to start advertising. Now, keep in mind, I do some like conservative talk radio. I do pretty well on that. You usually got a nice the demographic you want. It's older demographic. They listen to the radio, like stuff like that. But I used to spend a lot of money on radio. Anywhere you went in Southern California, you heard me on the radio. Hi, this is Victor Rancourt. It was stupid ass radio ad. It worked, but now the market shifted. A lot of streaming services, Paramount Plus, things like YouTube, all that stuff. Like, I would rather spend the money on a streaming service ad. Like, I was watching Paramount last night, watching a movie. You have to watch the ads. You can't skip them. YouTube, you can skip the shit. Paramount, you have to watch the ads, and you're not gonna get up from the middle of a movie and move. You're gonna watch the ads. So, really understanding that demographic is really good. But you want to be as many places you can as you can afford. But that's why I'm building a budget and understanding what you can spend and your rate of return, right? How much what's your ROAS on those lead spend? But I think the big play is going to be the digital advertising. Now, radio, like I said, people will swear by it. I think it's a dying thing, and radio stations are calling and begging for people to advertise on it. Billboards as well. Like, billboards, I think they're good. The one thing that I like billboards for is recruiting, because the people you want to recruit are driving around all day.
Got it. So the billboards works for the recruiting.
Yeah.
I see. That's what I'm seeing. Some billboards was like hiring, not for the installation. What is the cost of hire?
An average new employee is going to cost you $30,000. That first year, that's how much I can do. And every time you turn over, it's cost you $30,000, and probably a little bit more now.
Wow.
So hiring, training, all the other things that go into it. So you have to make sure you're making the right hires. But at the end of the day, you can't be scared to hire. I always say it's hiring is finding out, and firing is knowing. So I hire fast and hire fast and fire fast. So once I think I'm in
business, where do you think the gross profit's supposed to be? Like, where do you like to run the gross profit?
So we aim for 65. We'll usually end up at 55. So, whatever number you set it at, you always end up 5 to 10% lower than that. So a lot of people are like, we're starting at 50. Well, now they're down they're at 40% or 38%. And then their operational cost is at 30 to whatever. So now they're at 7, 8% net.
And where do you like to be on marketing cost?
Ideally between 5 to 7%. So if people think you need to go to 10% to market, I'd say if you're at 10%, you suck at sales.
I see. What is your, what percentage you spend on sales approximately?
As far as what?
Like cost, sales people.
I like to have my direct labor, so my installers and my technicians, sales rep, everybody under 20%. So we average about 16% is our direct labor, what it costs us to install, and then we want to keep our materials below 20%, ideally on the HVAC side, 30% at the max. I think below 20%, you're a healthy business. I've seen some of these companies are at 30, 35%, in their direct labor, and they can't figure out why they're not making money. That means they're not price high enough.
But basically, if you see that kind of companies, an opportunity, right?
Yeah, I also look at split. So how much of their money is coming from replacement, how much is coming from service. My companies run between 90 to 95% replacement and 5 to 10% on service. If I see a company that's a 60-40 split, perfect. I got 30% more revenue I could bring in overnight just by changing the process.
What about the memberships? subscriptions?
They're great. I think, that they used to be a big selling point. Private equity doesn't care. I mean, obviously, it's not a bad thing to have recurring revenue. The only thing I care about a membership is, do they have them? I don't care about how much they're paying for it. I just want them to have a membership. Just imagine you need to go, you need to buy something and you have a Costco membership. Are you ever going to go to Sam's Club?
Maybe.
Probably fucking not. Yeah. Very rarely you're going to go to, you're going to go pick the dude. I have a membership to Costco. You're going to go to fucking Costco. So I don't care what the membership costs. It can be $99 a year. It can be fucking $20 a year. As long as they feel like they have a membership, you're going to usually be the first one they go to. And obviously you have to not suck and you can close the customer. But like so many people are worried about, I got to charge this much for a membership. I'll charge less than you. I'll get all your customers to sign up for mine. And then they're going to call me when the problem happens. And your dumbass is still waiting for the extra money. Who cares? You don't make money. If your membership's at $240 a year, you don't make money on that. You lose money anyways.
Now we are giving out first year membership.
I never do that.
We give out.
I don't want to give away any. And once I sold them, I don't want to go back. Well, if I do a system, now I got to go back and service. I think I'm not making money. I've already made the money for the most part. I don't give anything away for free. But yeah, I hardly even want to sell a membership on a new system because what am I going to send a guy out there to go fucking dust it off? Fuck that. I'd rather have that same technician on a new customer where I can make money.
Yeah, where do you like to be on EBITDA wise?
As far as a percentage?
Yeah.
Same thing. We shoot for 30, we end up at 20. It's just a reality. If you're growing and you're at 15 to 17, that's not a bad number. I would rather have, 17% EBITDA on 10 million than 30% on 1 million. So it's just, one of those things you have to give up something to get scale. But ideally, we shoot, when we budget, we're setting our GP at 65, our net at 30. Now, do we ever hit 30? Yeah, summer months we'll hit 30% net. That's not a big deal. We have the volume to do it. But, most of the year, we're going to end up between 17 to 25%.
And what was your most expensive mistake? And what was your most profitable no when you said no?
I would say when I said no to doing another event. So like we were ready to go ramp up for the next one. And I said, I'm done with this shit. And like that saved my team's no longer, my team was overwhelmed. Like it's a year long planning these events.
Normally events are not profitable, right?
Yeah, not only they're not profitable, they fucking lose their money and your team's stressed out. Like we spent a whole year planning events. We got fucking performers and the fucking speakers are all making money. Everybody's making money and I'm over here holding my dick and wasting my time. So I think, shutting down the event business was the best thing I ever did. Now my ego said it felt cool to have fucking be on stage with Joe Montana and fucking on stage with Rick Ross and all this stupid shit. But in the end of the day, it didn't pay the bills. It lost me money.
And why did you sell Absolute in 2023? It was a strategic move or burnout?
It was strategic in the fact that the multiples are going down. I'm in Southern California where private equity doesn't want to be. I knew that the business had a bad debt stack. I saw the economy that was going on. I said, okay, I found somebody, and maybe he sees this. I found a sucker that was willing to take it, and they took it. And sure enough, everything in California has been shit since. Like there's companies in the market doing 100 million, losing millions of dollars. The weather's gone to shit. The market's gone to shit. Obviously, the tax and regulations are fucking dog shit here. It was almost like I hit my parachute and got out. So that was beautiful. We've seen what happened to my business since. I mean, the first 9 months, they pretty much bankrupted it, resold it to somebody else, to another sucker. The next sucker bought it for less money than the other guy. And then now he's, got 30 trucks sitting every day and, it looks like they're liquidating all the assets. So maybe one day I'll buy it back. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm sure after you did all of those business acquisitions, you can turn it around really fast.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, my non-compete's almost up and nobody wants to compete with me here. I will fuck everybody up.
That's why you are doing acquisitions in other places, correct?
That's why I'm doing acquisitions in other states. I got a little bit of time left on my non-compete here. I got people who keep asking me when it is because they want to know because they know I'm going to take their people, and it's an unfair advantage now because we have money, resources. I have the team, and obviously I have my recruiting power here. This is my backyard. Someone's probably watching this and going to listen to this and just know that you got 9 months to sell your business, otherwise I'm going to fuck you up.
My favorite question: where do you see yourself in ideal picture in 3-5 years?
Deal picture 3 to 5 years, doing the same thing. I enjoy it. It's fun. I don't work that hard. Now it's like, I always say business is a sport to me. I'm at the point now where everything is it's easy. I just keep putting bigger teams in place. We will be multi-billion-dollar platform, and that's kind of what we're going to do. But dude, I operate from my beach house. Like I don't fucking do anything.
Which deal you are most proud of?
I think I said the S-Corp deal, the one I did in Arizona. He was a good buddy of mine. He's a client of mine. Like I said, his business, someone tried to buy his business for $400,000 and he was going to sell it. And he was depressed. He was all these things going on. And I said, hey, look, just partner with me. We'll grow this thing. And like I said, we just turned down $17 million a couple of weeks ago. We're going to get 30 plus million for it in the next, 6 to 8 months. And so I'm proud that I'm going to make that guy more money than he ever will need in his life.
And how many calls do you make before you buy a company?
I've closed a deal on one call.
One call.
Within 1 week, deal done. Our deals, like I said, I can't lose on the deal. So any deal we do, it's literally, it's got to be a win for us only. And if I see a win, I take it right away.
And the best advice you have ever received?
Run your business with as little amount of cash as humanly possible in the bank and take the rest. And people think that's crazy, but what happens is a lot of these businesses, they try to keep so much cash in the business, they get fat and happy, and they're not paying attention to the little things. So every chance that we get, we do what's called sweeping the cash. So I might have $1 million in the bank and we're running our business. We have all these employees, right? $1 million. We know our business is making money every month. It makes money. I'll take $900,000 cash out. So we just barely have enough to pay payroll. It makes everybody fucking hungry again. Like, oh fuck, we don't got any money to fuck around. So like they pay attention to all those little things. So I think, yeah, Bill told me to sweep the cash. And obviously when you sweep the cash, you go invest and do other things. But the more cash you sweep, the more excited you get. So many owners, they keep all the cash in the bank and they don't pay themselves shit. And they can't figure out why they're not excited about their business or why it's not growing. It's because they're so fat and happy, they're lazy.
It's more aggressive than the profit first, right? And profit first, you're just taking 10%. But here, you're saying like,
oh yeah,
almost.
I called one of my partners, and they had $1 million in the bank. I said, what are you doing with that cash? Well, we maybe rainy day. I said, get a fucking line of credit, use the bank's money as your rainy day, take the cash and put it in your own pocket. And I'm like, tomorrow morning, go wire $900,000 out. They're like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm like, just cut it out. Boom, they never had to work harder in their life in the next couple months, but the money grew back again and they can do the same thing again. So stop hoarding your cash. It's fucking dumb. Go take it, go invest it, go have fun with it, do all that kind of stuff. But it makes you run smarter the less cash you have. One
thing you will tell younger yourself?
Stop partying. I don't party anymore. I don't fucking drink. I don't do anything but work. When you go look back and you spend $100 and some thousand on bottle service in a night, and then you're like, what the fuck was I doing? So I think that the partying stuff would definitely be cut out.
Speed or system? Which one?
Speed or system?
Yeah.
Honestly, both. Yeah, obviously money's attracted to speed. That's why we call ourselves the rocket group. We grow businesses faster than everybody else, but the system has to come first. You can't just go fucking fly by the seat of your pants.
If you were not in business, what would you do?
Sales. I love sales. I still love it. I'm selling everything. That's what I do. I'm an acquisition side.
Acquisition is a sales, right?
It's a sell, yeah. And I'm very, very good at it. But sales is addicting. I love sales. I've always have.
Do you have mentors or coaches?
I don't have any coaches, but I do have very successful people I surround myself with, and like I said, I got lucky to meet Pulte back in 2020. He's already bought and sold, a couple $100 million worth of home service businesses. Now, like I say, his real estate portfolio is ridiculous. And then now he runs a whole federal house. I mean, he runs $19 trillion worth of money a year now at 37 years old.
Do you mentor others?
Yeah. So we have our coaching group. I don't really like coaching much anymore because people don't fucking listen. I found when I own part of their business, they have to listen and they grow faster. So we still mentor and coach. I do love sales training. I still do that. I do it just literally for fun. I enjoy it.
How much you charge for your mentorship?
To mentor somebody, like one-on-one, I won't do it. You couldn't pay me enough. I don't got time for that shit. But, like we have our training program. We give you guys, we have our business blueprint. We sell our online training thing. I don't really even like doing that anymore because I don't want to give everybody I used to give everybody my secrets. They wouldn't fucking follow it anyway. So I don't know. I think the mentor training stuff, if you're mentoring and training, you probably don't know what you're doing because if you know what you're doing, you ain't fucking wasting your time on that.
Victor, thanks for joining for us.
So thanks for having me on, Sardor. I'm excited to be on this. I'm excited to give back to the community. I think, a lot of people need to hear that they need to man the fuck up.
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you for watching this episode of Founder to Founder. Today's conversation was packed with real, practical insights, from how to evaluate partners and dealers to the mindset shifts required to scale fast, stay profitable, and avoid the traps that kill most growing businesses. You heard honest stories about winning, burning out, rebuilding, and building again. The kind of lessons you only get from people who've actually done it. If conversations like this push you to think bigger and build smarter, make sure to subscribe to the Founder to Founder podcast. We release deep, unfiltered discussions with top entrepreneurs who share exactly how they operate. Thanks for spending your time with us. We appreciate every listener and can't wait to see you in the next episode.